Greetings all! Welcome to the live stream! Can you build a space base, ISS style? We can totally build a space station, yeah, that's not too difficult. Let's start with like a remote guidance unit, a nice big one. I suppose we want to just go straight for like the whopping stuff. 7,200, 3,240 liquid fuels, and 3,960 oxidizer. Or indeed this one. That one's even better. And then a whacking great big set of engines on the bottom. Mammoth. It is the S3 KS25 × 4 Mammoth liquid fuel engine. That's like that. Sorry. That's never going to work. I mean, you can do the maths on this, and you can figure out what is the right thrust-to-weight ratio, but I like to just bolt things together and see what happens. I think that's the correct way of doing things. That's probably fine, like that. And then if we just double this up, what else are we going to need on this thing for it to operate? We're going to need fins, and we might want to sort of strap extra boosters and stuff to it, but let's just see how it does with this. This should be a fairly decent heavy lift vehicle as it stands. So we want to strut it up. We have to space tape the whole thing together, otherwise there will be many problems. Well, I think that'll do for like a first stage, because we don't really need to worry about, you know, how much it costs or anything. Let's put an upper stage on. So this is going to be like our station fuel tank, an initial station fuel tank and reboost capability. We've got a couple of docking ports to extend the station out in either direction. That way we've got a cupola module on top, which they would technically have to spacewalk to get to, unless they can pressurize these service bays here. But KSP doesn't worry about things like that. It doesn't care about. Again, there are mods if you want. Colonize Mars! Colonize! Yes. Hopefully not one way. I really have to come back to my my Duna 1 and a bit series at some point, in which I am colonizing Duna, not Mars, but Duna. We're getting into kind of the realms of crazy design here, and this may or may not work. But it's a fairly light station section. I've built much heavier station sections than this. Some batteries, keep it powered when it's not in sunlight. We've got those 2 solar panels, haven't we? Thermal control system. Oh, a deployable thermal control system consisting of multiple liquid cooling. I guess we should have one of these, or a couple of these maybe. Thermal control is, of course, very important when you're in space. Alright, we've got batteries, we've got RCS, we've got launch capability. What we don't have is any kind of escape capability. Now, we could put this thing... Actually, we've got no kind of remote control of the station either, which means it'll have to remain manned. But that's fine. We need to send some astronauts up with it, though, because it's not going to have remote capability. And so that means we need a way of aborting should something go horribly wrong during the launch process. Things docked on the side. This is where we're going crazy. This is where we're going properly off the Kerbal construction reservation and into the wilds of why on earth would you build a spaceship like that territory. There we go. That should work like that. Totally. That should totally work like that. I'm entirely confident. I mean, the escape pod is almost as big and probably at least as heavy as the main rocket itself. I mean, the main space station itself. What it does mean is we have to counterbalance the rocket now, so we need something that weighs approximately the same as this lot on this side. This is not going to work. Whose idea was this? Anyway, let's put a hitchhiker beautifully strutted together. I think you'll agree. Yeah, okay, I may not have done this right. It's not actually going to fit inside the shroud. Come back up here. This was never a good idea. This whole engine on here, this was always a terrible idea. What we need to do, we can get rid of this. This is where ultra cunning comes in. There we go, look. This is totally going to work. Okay, let me just catch up with the comments. They have some mass and are kind of useful. Yes, this is true. Thermoelectric generators, very much. Nah, launch it. You could use Xeon for the escape capsule. I could use Xeon, but it just takes an eternity for those engines to get any kind of speed up. I think this will work. I think this design here we've got to work. The music reminds me of Lord of the Rings, the Shire music. Feel like some hobbits are just going to come bursting round the corner, or bustling round the corner. Well, I mean, Kerbals are a little bit Hobbit-like, aren't they? And it's changed to something very un-Hobbit-like. Kerbals are pretty much little green hobbits. They are exactly little green hobbits. With, to be fair, hobbits don't have the same tendencies to put themselves in extraordinary danger as Kerbals do. But apart from that, they're pretty similar. Maybe like Kerbals are all like Tooks or something. They were always a bit strange, the Tooks. Right, where's my launch shroud? We've done it. It is complete. It is there. Look at the launch shroud. I mean, we said when we first started building this that we were going to make it a relatively realistic rocket. I somehow don't look the docking port is actually sticking out the side. We could dock something onto it whilst it's got its shroud on. That's just part of its efficient design. I think you'll find. We totally want a crew. I think they're probably better right up in the command pod in case we need to eject them at the last minute. Valentina can take the seat, the command seat. We'll take a full crew, shall we? We'll just leave Jeb behind because who needs Jeb when you've got Valentina? That's poor old Jeb. Look, he used to be the star. He used to be the guy, and now it's just Valentina. All right. We also need to set up us. I would be astonished if this thing makes it to orbit. I would be so astonished. Stages. So, first stage, we want to fire everything. That's right. And then we want to separate these ones here. So that goes into the first stage separation. Second stage separation, we want to separate these. Then possibly we want to dump the shroud. This just undocks itself from the station, so we don't need a staging for it. We do want, obviously, the parachute not to engage as soon as the engine fires, because that would be bad. That would be very, very bad. Great, we're ready to fly to orbit. It is a balloon, sort of. I mean, it looks a bit like a balloon. It's probably going to fly as well as a balloon, although it'll explode in a much more spectacular fashion if it indeed explodes. Let's do it. We're just going to take this thing to space. We're going to take it to space right now. Our staging is set. The vehicle has been designed using an incredibly rigorous process. Debated nothing. Greetings. You missed the first hour. It was just me building this monstrosity of a spaceship. It is a monstrosity. It absolutely is a monstrosity. I'm sorry, but there you go. Balloons fly quite well. They do. They don't tend to reach space, however, and if you put like a lot of thrust behind a balloon, I think you'll find that things go rather horribly wrong. But anyway, let's find out what happens this time. Valentina, if anybody can get this thing into orbit, it's Valentina. We don't need to time anything. I haven't actually even put like launch things on it. It's literally just sitting. There's no launch clamps. It's just sitting on the launch pad, waiting to fly into space. Very well. Here we go. Ready for this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Main engines start. There they go. I don't know what engines I started prior to that. I think I started engines somewhere else. I hope it wasn't. Was it the little? I think I fired the launch I think I fired the escape engines for the escape pod. I'm pretty sure I did, and I haven't fired this main engine. Quick, activate the engine. How do I shut down the engines? They're inside the shroud. Shut them down. Shut them down. Where are they? They're gonna be pushing us off course. You there? Find it. Get it. Click it. Click it. Separate the things. I think they've burnt out. We're not able to see what's going on. We're losing it. We're losing control. Quick! Activate all the stages. Separate the shroud. Separate the shroud, please. I want this jettisoned right now. Where is Valentina? Where is the actual escape pod? We can still survive this. Where is it? It must be flying through space somewhere. It's got a parachute on it. We just need to find it. It's in here somehow. How do we... Valentina, no! Maybe... There it is! Okay. Unfortunately, everything's fallen off of it. So, it can't actually use its parachute, unfortunately. It's coming down in its balloon. Now, who was it who said balloons fly quite well? I think we're about to find out just how well balloons fly, because this one is flying towards the ground at 157 meters per second. It's actually slowing down. amazingly. Can we, Valentina, maybe if you get out, you can activate your RCS. Let go. Ah! Something horrible happened to Valentina. I think we should just move on. I think it may well be headed for the launch complex. Well, it's a good job that this was in fact a simulation, isn't it? Let's just revert that to launch, and this time we will set up the station correctly. So the problem we had is that we had the escape engines here were set to fire instead of the main engine. There we go. So that's the main engine. That should have come on with everything else. Instead, what we did is we fired up the escape engines on the escape pod, which was never going to work. Now this thing may still not make it into orbit. It certainly wasn't the most spectacularly successful of initial launches, but let's give it a try anyway. I think we'll be fine this time. I think we'll be perfectly fine. Here we go. Ready? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Main engine start. This time we have a clean launch. Let's throttle down a little bit. RCS is on. We are pitching over a lot. Yeah, we're too unbalanced. The rocket is way too unbalanced. Let's give it more thrust and hope that we can just power our way through it. Look, you can see it flexing. You can see it flexing inside. It's not going to work. This is not going to work. All right. Cut the engines. Oh, and now we've had an aerodynamic failure. Well, once again, the pod survived. Once again, it's had all of its parachutes and everything ripped off of it, meaning that, unfortunately, these poor Kerbals have no chance whatsoever. No chance at all. The pod survived! They survived, they were fine! Yeah, kind of. Jed was like, oh, so glad I didn't go up on that mission. Yeah, and then it lands on his head. That would be irony. That would, right there. Alright, we need to go back to the assembly room, because clearly we haven't designed this as well as one might hope, as rigorously as one might hope. This is much lighter now. Maybe this is now too heavy on this side. I think it was this side that was pitching over, so let's take off some of this RCS fuel, which is kind of unnecessary. And maybe take off this as well, and yeah, try again. Try and see. Let's apply some more space tape as well. There are a few problems in KSP that can't be solved with the liberal application of more space tape. It needs big fins on the bottom. Yes, but what big fins? What big fins? You need to make it narrower at the top if possible, and you need big... It can't be made narrower at the top, I'm afraid. That's just not possible. It's possible that it might be able to be made a little bit narrower. Yeah, it can actually be a little bit narrower. I mean, it won't be as amusing to look at, so I hope you're prepared for that. Point. There we go. It's nice and pointy now. It's much more aerodynamic, and therefore it will work. Do you think I should put delta wings on? If you can build it all in one line, yeah, yes, of course I can do that, Debated Nothing. Of course I can do that, but would it be as cool? Would it be as awesome? I don't think so. This is much more Kerbal right here. This is the way that it should be. Delta wings. You want to put delta wings on it? Where are the delta wings? There we go. Delta wings. Delta wings all round. You need to find the big delta wing. We'll put them on the first bits that get jettisoned. Just so that it looks awesome. I mean, we could put control surfaces on as well. That's it. This time it's going to work. Launch! If you have big wings at the tail, even if they're non-actuating, they'll increase the rocket's tendency to stay pointing in its velocity vector, which, hopefully, will be up. Hopefully, it will be up. We've definitely got some wings on it. So Valentina is happy, and Jeb is just standing there. He's actually found a bomb shelter to watch this particular launch from. It looks like a rocket from, like, you know, like sci-fi back in like the 40s and 50s and things. It's got that kind of aesthetic to it, doesn't it? Which means it's awesome. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, launch! Throttle back a little bit. I don't think we need to be accelerating at maximum. We're still gaining speed pretty fast, passing 100 meters per second, continuing to accelerate on upwards. We're going to want to start our pitch over at some point, but frankly I'm terrified. Did we start rotating? I think we picked up a little bit of rotation here. We'll separate those ridiculous wings first. I have no idea which way's east now. Alright, separate those. We got a clean separation, and they exploded. Pick up a little bit more speed, please. Start pitching in some sort of... That's not the direction we want to pitch in! Abort! 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 It looks like Tintin's moon rocket. It does. I don't remember that happening to Tintin's moon rocket, though. It sort of exploded. There's clearly nothing wrong with the design, it's just pilot incompetence. That's right, blame Valentina. Poor Valentina. If you are throwing the wings away before 20 kilometers, they won't help you much anyway. Yeah, that's true. But look, they're still on there because they look pretty, and it makes it look more like a Tintin rocket. Alright, here we go again. 3, 2, 1, launch! Throttle back. Oh, we're immediately pitching over now. We're immediately... I don't know how that happened. Look, there is definitely a bit of a wobble in this spacecraft. I think this may be part of our problem, you know. Look, if we deploy the aero... Oh, okay, that was possibly not the right choice. Possibly not the right choice. We've got too much wobble on this thing, though. We've got way too much wobble. It looks vaguely like Thunderbird 1. Oh, it would be awesome if it was Thunderbird 1. I always thought that the Thunderbirds, as a premise, would make a fantastic video game. Like a Thunderbird, like a rescue game. It would be all about, like, physics puzzles and trying to, like, rescue different people and, like, you know, shore up things and fly to them. I thought that would make a fantastic game. I think they rebooted Thunderbirds as well, didn't they? Isn't there, like, a new Thunderbirds that's all, like, computer animated and things? There. Then you take this away, and magically those struts should connect to the outer shell at launch. That's what I hear anyway. Launch! This time we shall be successful. We shall get... This is actually like the most basic thing you can do in KSP. Put a rocket into space. It's like, you know, I mean, I must have done hundreds, if not thousands of launches. Alright, here we go. Launch attempt number 1? Let's call it number 1. Launch attempt number 1 in 3, 2, 1. Main engines. Hello? Main engines? Main engines fire! And separate from the launch clamps. Let's ride her up. Throttle down a little bit. Easy now. Easy now there, Big Nelly. Easy now there, Big Nelly. Oh, this thing doesn't want to stay straight. Come on now. That's right. Separate. Don't blow anything up. All right. You kind of took out the main engine. We might need separatrons on those. Uh-oh. Well, we have a clean separation at least. Decouple. Hello? Kerbals, there you are! Deploy the parachutes! Cannot deploy while stowed. Well, but we... Let's just start again, shall we? Let's just start again. Here we go, 3, 2, 1. Main engine start. Let it settle down a little bit and separate. The engines are still firing on the launch pad. We're just doing an engine test. Actually, look, everyone has survived for the first time in launch history of this particular launch complex. All of the Kerbonauts survive quite happily. Look, they're actually going to deploy the parachutes. Valentina, just come over here. Look. Let's take a look and see if we can see what went wrong. Now, it looks to me like we didn't actually separate from the launch clamps, and instead we activated one of our one of our systems, one of our separation systems or something. I'm pretty sure this is extraordinarily hot. Fortunately, Valentina is an ultimate badass and can simply walk through the blazing exhaust of a rocket. We're firing the main engines, cocktails, carrying the Wizard X and the WizScan Ultra P off into orbit. And to separate the shroud, which has exploded away from the main spacecraft, Lena Kerman stays outside just in case she is needed to perform a rescue or anything of that nature as Gambit Kerman leaves the station.